Spontaneous Healing of Anterior Cruciate Ligament Ruptures by Evo-Devo Exercises. A Guide for Patients. The purpose of this book is to introduce the existence of natural healing therapies and their procedures for people who have ruptured the anterior cruciate ligament of the knee. Probably 99.9% of the world's population believes that a ruptured anterior cruciate ligament does not heal itself. Most people who have actually ruptured their anterior cruciate ligament have probably been told by their doctor that it does not heal naturally. Internet searches are mostly dominated by the results that the anterior cruciate ligament does not heal spontaneously and that surgery is absolutely necessary if you want to return to sport. Worldwide, the situation is almost the same, and most people believe that the anterior cruciate ligament does not heal itself. So, does the anterior cruciate ligament never heal naturally once it is torn? A more detailed search or a more persistent question to your doctor may give you a rather vague answer. The vague answer is, the anterior cruciate ligament rarely heals spontaneously, but in rare cases it can. Currently, never heals spontaneously is wrong and rarely heals spontaneously seems to be the correct answer. This means that, under certain conditions, anterior cruciate ligament tears can heal spontaneously. In my view, because those conditions have not been known until now, it has probably been thought that the anterior cruciate ligament almost never heals spontaneously. About 20 years ago, when I was a student at a medical university, I came across a book. It was a book titled, Thinking Knee, written by Dr. Hidetoshi Ihara of the Kyushu Rosei Hospital, which described spontaneous healing of anterior cruciate ligament and meniscus injuries. I remember that more than 20 years ago, he had successfully performed hundreds of spontaneous healing of anterior cruciate ligament ruptures and reported them at academic conferences, but was roundly criticized by the medical community. Surgeons are supposed to heal through surgery, and there is no merit in developing conservative therapies that do not make money. However, for the patient, there is nothing more gratifying than a non-surgical and inexpensive treatment that allows the anterior cruciate ligament to heal spontaneously. Moreover, for the primary and secondary school age group, for whom surgery is considered inadvisable due to the risk of bone growth disturbance, natural healing therapy for ruptured anterior cruciate ligaments is a much-needed ray of hope. As mentioned above, Dr. Ihara pioneered the natural healing therapy for ruptured anterior cruciate ligament more than 20 years ago, but due to the indifference from the medical community, it has not spread to the public even to this day. I also tried Dr. Ihara's natural healing therapy for ruptured anterior cruciate ligament, but I was in trouble because I am a physical therapist, not a doctor, and therefore could not carry out Ihara-style orthotics therapy. Since I speak English reasonably well, I have been reading papers from all over the world on anterior cruciate ligament ruptures to find new treatment methods. After searching papers from all over the world, I found that there are a good number of reported cases of spontaneous healing of anterior cruciate ligament ruptures. Of course, Dr. Ihara's paper was also published in English and has attracted a lot of attention in recent years from overseas therapists interested in spontaneous healing. Apart from the Ihara paper, another interesting paper published by a German researcher on the treatment of Muhammad Khalifa. Mr. Khalifa, who lives in Austria, is not a doctor but a masseur. Researchers interested in the phenomenon of his spontaneous healing of anterior cruciate ligament ruptures by massage alone have published a scientific paper on the effectiveness of his treatment. According to that paper, 47% of patients who received his treatment immediately after rupturing the anterior cruciate ligament healed spontaneously after 3 months. On the other hand, in Ihara's paper, a combination of orthotics and exercise therapy resulted in 74% of spontaneous healing after 3 months. The public is generally told that anterior cruciate ligament tears do not heal spontaneously, but a search of research papers shows that there are many reported cases of spontaneous healing. As shown here, Thus, I spent several years reading research papers from all over the world and contemplating the development of a new natural healing therapy for anterior cruciate ligament ruptures. One of my themes was the innovation of a new exercise therapy that would surpass orthotics, and after several years of trial and error, I succeeded in innovating a new exercise therapy, which I later named Evo-Devo Exercises. Then, in 2018, we succeeded in spontaneous healing of the anterior cruciate ligament rupture by the Evo-Devo Exercises for the first time. Over the next 4 years, 16 cases of spontaneous healing were successfully achieved. As of April 2022, 100% spontaneous healing has been achieved under the condition that the Evo-Devo exercises are started within 2 months after the anterior cruciate ligament rupture and continues for more than 3 months. The number of cases is still small, so it is impossible to say that the success rate of spontaneous healing is 100%, but even if the number of cases increases in the future, the success ratio is expected to exceed 90%. Then, to briefly explain how long the torn anterior cruciate ligament will heal spontaneously by the Evo-Devo exercises, it will be about a few months after the start of the Evo-Devo exercises. And then you will be able to spend your daily life almost without any problems. On average, the torn anterior cruciate ligament starts connecting each other after about 4 months. After the MRI confirms natural healing, the intensity of rehabilitation is increased and exercise such as jogging is started about 6 months after the injury. Of course, there are individual differences, but approximately 6 months of treatment and rehabilitation are required before the patient can return to daily life and work. After the torn anterior cruciate ligament has healed spontaneously, there is the question of how much sport activity can be performed. The patient in case 1, which will be introduced later, was a top-class university rugby player at the time of injury and successfully returned to competition after spontaneous healing. And he is now competing in the top league. Of course, there is a risk of re-rupture, so we have to be very careful. In fact, there has been 1 case of re-rupture so far, but from the follow-up of 16 cases, I can say that it is quite possible to return to sport. I am not rejecting reconstructive surgery for anterior cruciate ligament ruptures, but I believe that natural healing therapy should be tried as the first option when there is a good chance of spontaneous healing. Surgery may be considered as the last option after spontaneous healing failed. I am writing this book for patients with anterior cruciate ligament injuries, some of whom may be medical professionals, and they may say, "Is there any evidence?" But, please be aware that we are currently in the process of developing the evidence. We will write another book for medical professionals after we have accumulated a few more cases and data.